The One Piece TCG is Bandai's latest baby, and boy has it started off well. The super pre-release events were a massive success. Set 1 has released and sold out. The game has a bit of everything, something for collectors and something for players, and the players are who we want to focus on today. We are going to go over the basics and the not so basics of how to play the One Piece TCG. To play, each player will have a 50 card main deck, 1 leader card, and a 10 card Don deck. Don cards are the game's resource system. They allow you to play cards and activate effects. Each Don card is valued the same within the game's resource system, so no thought is required in putting together your Don deck. You simply just need 10 cards. Leader cards indicate the total life you start the game with, which can be found in the bottom right corner of the card. Leader cards also indicate what color or colors your main deck can be made of. For example, Zoro is a red leader, meaning any cards in the main deck must be red. Luffy is an example of a dual color leader. He is both red and green, which means the main deck can be made up of green and or red cards. Leaders also have their own abilities, which can result in very unique gameplay and strategies, but more about abilities later on in the video. The 50 card main deck is made up of character cards, event cards, and stage cards. You are limited to only having 4 of a card with the same card number. Each card will have a cost indicated in the top left hand corner. This is the number of Don cards you have to move from an active position to a rested position in order to play the character. Character cards will have a power displayed on the top right of the card, as well as an attribute. All cards will also have a card type, which is found at the bottom of the card. Character and event cards have a counter effect which allows you to increase the power of a character or leader when attacked by your opponent. Now that we've covered the basic deck structure and card layout, let's talk about how to win a game of One Piece. Currently, there are only 2 ways to win a game of One Piece. The first is if you successfully attack your opponent's leader when they have no life remaining. The second way you can win is by deck out. This is where your opponent cannot draw a card on their draw phase. Now that we've got winning out of the way, let's talk about setting up the board and turn structure. Each board will consist of a character area, leader area, stage area, deck area, trash area, cost area, Don deck area, and life area. To begin the game, players will shuffle their deck, then place it in the deck area, and as well as place their leader and Don deck in their appropriate areas. Players will decide who goes first via rock, paper, scissors, or a dice roll, with the winner choosing who goes first. Each player will then draw 5 cards. They can choose to keep their hand or to shuffle their entire hand back into the deck and draw another 5 cards, also known as a mulligan, but this can only be done once by a player. Once each player has their starting hand, they will place the number of life cards indicated by their leader face down in the life area without looking at them. The game will then start, and each turn will have the 5 following phases. The first phase is the refresh phase. The refresh phase is where a player will set all Don they have in play active and return it to the cost area, and move characters from a rested to active position. The second phase is the draw phase. This is where the turn player will draw 1 card. However, if you are the player going first, you do not draw a card on your first turn. The third phase is the Don phase. This is where the turn player will place 2 Don cards from their Don deck into the cost area in an active position. The player going first, however, will only place 1 card in their cost area for their first turn. The fourth phase is the main phase, and a number of things can happen during the main phase, and they can happen in any order. A player can play character cards, stage cards, or activate event cards by resting the required amount of Don. A player can also activate card effects, attach active Don to characters or their leader, which will give them an extra 1000 power per Don for your turn only, and a player can also attack an opponent's leader or one of your opponent's rested characters. It is important to note that leaders cannot attack on the player's first turn, and that characters cannot attack the turn that they are played. Players cannot have more than 5 characters in play at a time. If a player that has 5 characters in play wishes to play another character, they must trash one of their characters in order to play the new character. The final phase is the end phase. This is where any end of turn effects will trigger. Once they have been resolved, your opponent's turn begins. Let's talk about the battle flow. To begin a battle, you declare an attack on a target and change your leader or character that is attacking from an active position to a rested position. You can only target a leader or a rested character for an attack. Before moving into the next step in the battle flow, or when attacking effects must trigger and resolve. The next step is the block step. This is where your opponent can use a character that has a blocker ability to block the attack. Only an active character can block and must be changed from an active position to a rested position to trigger the block. The next part of the battle flow is the counter step. This is where the player being attacked can use cards from their hand to increase the strength of the character or leader being attacked. Character cards with a counter effect must be trashed from hand in order to activate their counter. Event cards with a counter effect require you to rest the indicated amount of Don in order to trigger the counter, then that event card is moved to the trash. The next part of the battle flow is the damage step. This is where the power of the attacking and defending cards are compared. The attacking card will win if the power is equal or greater to the defending card. This is also known as a successful attack. If a successful attack is completed against a character, that character is trashed. If a successful attack is completed against a leader, the attack player takes the top card from their life and adds it to their hand without revealing it to the opponent. If the card that is picked up has a trigger effect, the player can choose to activate that trigger during this step. The final step of the battle flow is the end of battle step. This is where any end of battle effects are triggered and resolved. Now this is where we come back and talk about card effects. Most cards are clear with the cost required to activate an effect and what phase you can activate that effect in. Now there are a few effects and effect trigger requirements that are handy to go over. Card effects with this symbol require you to attach Don to them in order to be able to trigger the effect. The number of Don required is indicated by the number. Cards with this symbol require you to return Don from anywhere on the field back to the Don deck in order to trigger the effect. Once again, the number indicates how many Don need to be returned. Cards with this symbol require you to rest Don in order to be able to trigger the effect. As per the previous two effects, the number indicates the amount of Don that will need to be rested. Cards with rush can attack the turn they are played. Cards with double attack that successfully attack a leader will result in the attacked player taking 2 cards from their life instead of 1. Cards with the banish effect who successfully attack a leader will result in the attacking player putting the life card in trash instead of to their hand. No trigger effects can be activated either. Finally, when it comes to multiple effects triggering at the same time, the player can choose which order they activate in. Now, when it comes to you and your opponent having effects that trigger at the same time, the turn player will activate and resolve their effects first, then their opponent will activate and resolve their effects. And that's it. That's how to play the One Piece TCG. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. If you think we missed anything, that'd be good for us to all know. Also, let us know in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoy playing the One Piece TCG. And if you want to see some deck profiles, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because they will be coming your way shortly. Stay beautiful and we'll see you all in the next one.